Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We are following a crash involving a tractor trailer on I-95 and a car. What we're learning about the scene that has closed lanes of the highway.
And we're expecting to hear from Donald Trump today following a guilty verdict in his hush money trial. What political experts are saying about how it will affect his presidential bid.
And it's a gorgeous start this morning. Our dew point's way down in the 40s, feeling refreshing. It won't last long. I'll show you when we'll climb all the way back to tropical.
A fire chief out of Cumberland County is expected in court today. What he was accused of doing in his own fire station. Good morning, everyone. It is 8 o'clock. Great to have you with us on this Friday as we get you caught up on all the big stories. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Yeah, it is Friday. We've made it to Friday. It is a cool Friday. Cool start. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. A beautiful look over North Hills. This is probably the coolest day we're going to see for a while.
It is. We're going to hit just upper 70s this afternoon. And then we're going to be back into the upper 80s within this 7-day period. And I'll show you when that happens. Just enjoy today. It's gorgeous. Live look at North Hills with beautiful blue skies. 62 now as you step out the door, but the dew point has not budged. It's nice and low at 46 right now, and so that's going to keep things very comfortable feeling all day long. 66 in Fayetteville, but 55 in Roxborough, 62 in Rocky Mount and in Southern Pine. So it still feels very pleasant out there this morning, even with all that sunshine. We climbed to 78 degrees. Now that is below normal. Our normal high is 85. I'll show you the pattern change that brings us back to or above normal by later next week. Coming up, Anthony.
Elizabeth, as we head out to the roads this morning, this crash has been a big focus for us over the past couple of hours. I-95 northbound, right around the Keene Road exit. You can see all of those reds showing up right there on our sensors. This is likely to cause some big backups if you're headed in this direction, so just keep that in mind. We're going to be watching that here as we go through the rest of this morning. Another crash to tell you about, Lumley Road eastbound at Briar Creek Parkway. This one is not causing major backups, thankfully. There's 540 right there at Glenwood Avenue, just to the north part of your screen. We'll be watching that one, but otherwise those major approaches here into both Raleigh and Durham looking good. Also, there's our live look I-40 at Rock Quarry Road. Everything moving along smoothly, but we will continue to track that crash on I-95 very closely.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Today, we're expecting to hear more from Donald Trump after he became the first former president to be convicted of felony crimes. Trump plans to hold a news conference at 11 o'clock this morning at Trump Tower. His sentencing date is July 11th, but his legal team is likely to appeal the jury's verdict that found him guilty on all 34 counts in that hush money trial. All of this is expected to play a big role in the upcoming presidential election. Trump has already lashed out at the verdict. He shared this graphic to his Truth Social platform, saying this is not a prosecution, this is a persecution. Trump's sentencing date is 4 days before the start of the Republican National Convention, where he's expected to be named the GOP nominee for president. Trump's attorneys may try to push his sentencing date later, possibly even after the November 5th presidential election, but it's unlikely the judge would grant a delay.
Some voters who spoke with WRAL after the verdict say it will not play into their decision as to how they'll vote in November. Others say there is no way a person convicted of felonies should be in the Oval Office.
I voted for him twice. I could not believe that anyone would vote for him again this time around, and I won't be one of them.
Him having that criminal situation, it's not my place, but hey, go Trump.
As for Trump himself, he will still be eligible to vote in the state of Florida unless he is sentenced to prison.
And Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, says facts prevailed in the trial. He was the key witness for the defense in the case. He appeared live on MSNBC last night.
Were you surprised by the verdict?
No, I was not. I've been on so many of the shows on here on MSNBC, and I've told you all along that the facts speak for themselves. The documents speak for themselves.
Trump's lead attorney moved for an acquittal even after the guilty verdict. He accused Cohen of committing perjury. The judge denied the motion. And coming up in 10 minutes, what reaction to the verdict from a Duke law professor who's a former federal prosecutor.
You're looking live at a crash on I-95 near Keene Road in Johnston County. A tractor trailer and this mangled car were involved in the crash. Right now, only one lane of I-95 is open along the stretch of road. Fayetteville Fire, EMS, State Highway Patrol are all there. And you can see the tow truck backing up there to that car. We are working to learn more about the condition of anyone hurt in this crash. A fire department chief is due in court today on charges that he hit a camera in a vent at his fire station. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey has been in the Grays Creek community this morning with what we can expect from today's court proceedings.
Chief Benjamin Marsh is accused of putting a hidden camera inside of a vent here at the Grays Creek Fire Department. We're expecting to see him in court in just a few hours. Take a look. Marsh was arrested last night. He's now facing felony charges for wiretapping. Marsh was booked at the Cumberland County Detention Center yesterday, but he was released on a $1,500 unsecured bond. His first court appearance is scheduled for this afternoon at 2:30. We'll be sure to have a crew there and keep you updated. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Cumberland County.
A Zebulon woman is charged with child abuse for something police say happened at a school. 62-year-old Shirley Richardson is facing 2 misdemeanor counts of child abuse. Police say the incident happened earlier this month. It involved a student at Wakelawn Elementary School. Richardson was working at the school as an instructional assistant. We're checking with Wake County Schools to see the status of her employment.
The city of Durham is paying nearly $8 million to a man who spent nearly 24 years in prison after a wrongful conviction. A federal jury awarded Daryl Howard a $6 million settlement 2 years ago. It was determined that he was convicted with fake evidence, but the city of Durham refused to pay it. Now the city is being forced to pay him more. The city sent Howard a $7.75 million payout yesterday.
A police officer is dead, another injured after responding to a shooting in a Minneapolis neighborhood. The violence unfolded at an apartment complex last night. Officials say Officer Jamal Mitchell was shot and killed when he was ambushed as he was trying to give medical assistance to 2 people who were hurt. After Mitchell was shot, a second officer arrived and exchanged gunfire with the suspect. Mitchell was a father and was engaged to be married.
I want to take a moment to talk about who Jamal Mitchell was. He was a hero, a son, a father, a fiance, and an officer who was so deeply committed to protecting and serving.
Officer Mitchell was with Minneapolis PD for a year and a half. The suspect died at the scene. A third person was found dead in an apartment. It's not clear what led to that shooting.
A man is in the hospital with serious injuries after a shooting on South Roxborough Street in Durham. Police responded just after 4:30 yesterday afternoon. They found a man with life-threatening injuries. You're looking at video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. No one is in custody yet for this. Police say this is an active investigation.
President Biden has given Ukraine permission to carry out limited strikes inside Russian territory using U.S. weapons. This comes after Russia made advances around a city in the northeastern part of Ukraine. American munitions have been restricted to targets just over the border close to Kharkiv. Loosening the restrictions marks a break from long-standing policy. The Biden administration is still not allowing Ukraine to use long-range strikes again inside Russia.
The FAA is assuring people Boeing airplanes are safe after Boeing shared its plan for changes to safety procedures. Executives spent hours with the FAA yesterday reviewing changes to its production plan. The meeting came after a string of incidents involving Boeing airplanes. That included a door plug blowing off a 737 MAX back in January. The new plan includes improving employee training, preventing suppliers from shipping defective components, and additional federal audits.
The Special Olympics Summer Games, they're here. The weekend full of fun and competition begins this evening at NC State's Reynolds Coliseum at 6:30. That's when law enforcement officers will light the cauldron to kick off the start of the competition. This year, more than 1,300 adults and children with intellectual disabilities from across the state will compete in 7 sports.
This morning, the Governor Moorhead School for the Blind in Raleigh will hold graduation ceremonies for its senior class. 9 students will be honored during today's commencement. It will start at 10 a.m. and it will be at the school's Lineberry Auditorium on Ash Avenue.
Coming up, a Garner family finding a new way to honor their loved ones after a devastating car accident. The memorial run being held this weekend.
And the National Spelling Bee was last night. Just ahead, a look at the winner skills and the local student who got third place. Elizabeth.
And it's cool and breezy out there. Take a look at some of these trees in Goldsboro, really swaying in the breeze. We'll take a look at what the winds are right now and what a cool day it will be.
Welcome back on your Friday morning. A beautiful start to your Friday. This is a live look over Clinton. Temperatures only going to be in the mid to upper 70s for today. And meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We're talking about hurricane season. That starts tomorrow.
It's amazing, isn't it? June 1st, already tomorrow. And of course, that kicks off the season. We want to talk about what we could see, just a quick overview of the season. Tropical satellite right now. This is a live look at what's happening. There are some disturbances out there, but nothing that looks like it's going to develop in the next 3 or 4 days. NOAA, which is the umbrella agency for the National Hurricane Center, puts out a hurricane outlook several times during the season. And the one that came out for May was the most aggressive ever for the month of May. That means more storms in this forecast than we've ever seen. The average number of tropical storms is 14, and the forecast is for 25, at least 25. Hurricanes, 7 is the average, and up to 13 hurricanes. Major hurricanes, the average is 3. That's a hurricane at category 3 or stronger, and up to 7 major hurricanes. So it could be a very active season. We've actually had a lot of active seasons in the last 5 years. The most storms we've ever seen in the Atlantic Basin was in 2020 at 30, but the last several years have all been at or above normal. As a matter of fact, last year we had 20 storms, the 4th most active, and then in 2021, the 3rd most active at 21. And in the last 10 years, we've seen the last 8 years either at or above normal. So it's been very active lately. It's going to be a different pattern this year, though. It's a La Nina, which actually does typically bring us more storms. And here's why. We have weaker upper level winds. If we have strong upper level winds, as those storms develop, the top of the storm gets brushed off or knocked off, and so the storm can't develop and get stronger. We also have much warmer than normal ocean temperatures, and these storms feed off of those warm ocean temperatures. That's where the fuel comes from. So there's plenty of that out there. So looks like it could be a busy season for us. In Goldsboro, Fayetteville, Apex, and Chapel Hill, it's gorgeous, and it doesn't feel anything like summer. Feeling beautiful out there. It's a little bit breezy. We have a north wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, but no current gusts out there. Satellite and radar showing our high pressure system that's up to the north. That's what's helping to feed down this nice, cool, dry air. But just back to the west, we have lots of showers and thunderstorms west of the Mississippi, and we start to see some of that moisture moving our way starting tomorrow. Right now, we have this flow coming right out of Canada that feels great, but by tomorrow, we begin to see our winds shifting to southwesterly. It's going to start to tap into some of that moisture. So for tomorrow, 83 degrees, still low humidity, but it creeps up a little bit on Sunday with a high of 84, plenty of sunshine. We do have a small chance for showers and storms Monday and Tuesday, but it goes up to 50% by the middle of the week. By Wednesday and Thursday, we're back to a summer-like pattern with a better chance for some scattered storms. Anthony?
Elizabeth, as we head out and get a check on the roads this morning, we'll start off with our I-40 camera. This is at Rock Quarry Road. Moving along great, though. We see that blue sky out there. No crashes to report in this direction. We do, of course, have our one in I-95 northbound that we've been watching near Keene Road. Otherwise, look at our I-40 delays. Everything's in the green. No major delays showing up right there as well. We'll continue to keep a close eye on that, though, for you. We head closer here to the city of Raleigh, around the area. No major delays as well. You can see a crash showing up there on I-440 that likely just popped up. That potentially will be causing some issues, but we'll continue to watch that here over the next couple of minutes.
A judge wants more time for evidence to be gathered in the case of 6 pro-Palestinian protesters arrested on UNC's campus. The group showed up for their first court appearance yesterday. The 6 face charges of trespassing and resisting arrest after clashes with police on campus last month. A few face assault charges. About 24 people showed up to support them. The group of 6 was not called to face the judge. Their cases were continued to July 30th.
WRAL spoke with former federal prosecutor Shane Stansbury about how former President Trump's hush money trial was conducted. The Duke law professor said there are reasonable arguments on both sides about whether the case should have been brought in the first place, but he believes the people involved acted professionally.
There were 12 ordinary Americans who didn't ask for the job of being in the jury. There was a judge who didn't ask for this case. And I think if you assess that part and how the folks who were involved in this case conducted themselves, I was impressed.
And Stansbury says there will be pressure on the judge to not sentence Trump to jail time.
Friends of Tyler, Susie, and Miles Campbell are remembering them after they lost their lives in a Memorial Day crash in Garner. They gathered at Wake Med last night, and you can see in this picture that they wore Wolfpack red. Tyler and Susie Campbell were NC State grads. Tyler was an avid runner. His family tells us he was preparing for a marathon in Chicago this summer. NC State Health and Exercise Studies professor Dr. Joy Kagendo is organizing a run to honor Tyler and his family. Friends say Tyler brought people together with his energy and joy.
I wish we could emulate that. We just live one day at a time, but just live it to the fullest and just enjoy the people that you're around with.
The run to honor Tyler Campbell will be tomorrow at White Deer Park in Garner. It starts at 8 in the morning.
Another American is back in the U.S. after being arrested in Turks and Caicos for possession of ammunition. Tyler Wenrich of Virginia was one of 5 Americans recently charged in the British territory. Wenrich and his wife touched down at Richmond International Airport last night after he spent more than a month in prison. He was sentenced to time served and ordered to pay a $9,000 fine. He could have been sentenced with up to 12 years in prison.
A New York man has pleaded guilty to harassing and threatening members of Congress. 35-year-old Ade Salim Lilly admitted to making more than 12,000 harassing and violent phone calls to 54 members of Congress over the course of 2 years. He even threatened to kill a congressional staff member. The calls started in February of 2022 and ended in November 2023 when he was arrested. Lilly faces fines up to $500,000 and 7 years in prison.
A jury found Chad Daybell guilty in a triple murder case that attracted nationwide attention. Daybell was convicted on murder and conspiracy charges yesterday in the killing of his first wife and the 2 children of his second wife, 16-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old Joshua J.J. Vallow. They were last seen in September of 2019. Their bodies were found buried on Daybell's property in June of 2020. Daybell's first wife, Tammy, was found dead in her Idaho home in October of 2019. It was originally thought that she died in her sleep. Family of Daybell's victims were emotional outside the courthouse.
Whatever sentence the court and the jurors decide on, I will absolutely live with it.
JJ's grandfather, Larry Woodcock, also says he's finally able to breathe now that justice is being served. Prosecutors are now seeking the death penalty for Chad Daybell.
Construction of a new library and civic building in Carrboro is coming along. Right now, drywall and light fixtures are being installed and painting has started. In the next month, electrical and plumbing work will begin. Construction is expected to finish this summer.
A vacant motel is being demolished in Sanford. Last year, the Lee County Superior Court ordered the Prince Downtown Motel to shut down. The city has now started to tear down the building after more than a year of legal disputes. The mayor has called the move a major community goal.
Harnett County is celebrating its class of 2024 graduates. The school system held its last 2 graduation ceremonies of the year yesterday. Friends and families gathered to celebrate Triton High and Overhills High graduates at Campbell University.
This morning, researchers at NC State will have a new center to conduct research on the future of protein. The university is receiving a $30 million grant from the Bezos Earth Fund. Over the course of 5 years, researchers will study ways to create sustainable protein to help feed a growing population. The official announcement will be made on Centennial Campus this morning at 10:30.
Get ready to enjoy authentic Greek food, music, and shopping without leaving the Triangle. The Raleigh Greek Festival kicks off today and runs through Sunday. It will be at the Jim Graham Building on the State Fairgrounds in Raleigh. You'll be able to enjoy Greek food prepared by the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church. A portion of the ticket sales will be donated to Habitat for Humanity and Team Rubicon.
The matchup for the NBA Finals is set. The Dallas Mavericks are the Western Conference champions. They beat the Minnesota Timberwolves last night, 124-103 in Game 5 of their series. The Mavericks won the series 4-1. They'll play the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. That series will get started next week.
A 12-year-old from Florida is the winner of the Scripps National Spelling Bee, and he won it in dramatic fashion.
Ramaner.
R-A-M-O-N-E-U-R.
Aposiopiesis.
A-P-O-S-I-O-P-E-S-I-S.
Abseil.
ABSEIL.
Pathology.
Never heard of any of those words. Bruhat Soma of Florida spelled 29 words correctly in 90 seconds during a tie-breaking spell-off. Super impressive. The 7th grader takes home a $50,000 cash prize, among other rewards. Now, a local spelling bee champion had a great showing at the National Spelling Bee as well. Ananya Prasanna tied for 3rd place. She goes to Davis Drive Middle School in Apex. This was her 3rd time in the National Spelling Bee. She says she's hoping to make it back for a 4th time next year.
Very impressive. Congratulations to everyone. Coming up, we're continuing to follow reaction to Donald Trump's guilty verdict in his hush money trial. What experts are saying about how this will affect his presidential campaign.
And this morning, first responders will have a torch run for the Special Olympics this morning. Just ahead, when you can expect to see them cross the finish line at the state capitol.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
It is 8:26. I'm Renee Chu. We have beautiful weather to kick off our weekend. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We won't even hit 80 degrees today.
Incredible for this time of year. Right now it is 62 in Wilson. The whirligigs are really spinning around. We have winds at about 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the north, and that's what's bringing us the cool weather. 62 in Durham right now, 66 in Fayetteville. We're completely cloud-free right now, but later this afternoon we may see just a few puffy cumulus clouds like we did yesterday. Perfect day for exercise as our humidity and our temperatures both stay low. We'll see a high of 78 this afternoon. Anthony?
Looking beautiful there, Elizabeth. And as we head out to the roads this morning, this is just after a crash that's on I-440. This one's at Glenwood Avenue. You can see everything moving along smoothly. The crash itself, though, here on I-440 is closer to the Six Forks Road area. There definitely are some backups in that direction, so just keep that in mind. It, like I said, clears up as you get closer to Glenwood. We'll be watching that closely, but everything is starting to quiet down here as we go through our morning commute.
Anthony, thank you. The chief of the Grays Creek Fire Department in Cumberland County is expected in court this afternoon. Detectives arrested Benjamin Marsh yesterday. He's facing a felony charge after he was accused of putting a camera into a vent at the Grays Creek Fire Station. A man is in the hospital after shooting on South Roxborough Street in Durham. Police responded just after 4:30 yesterday afternoon. They found a man with life-threatening injuries. No one is in custody. Police say this is still an active investigation. Next on Fox 50, how childcare in North Carolina could suffer after COVID-era funding ends in 1 month. And up next on Today, Anita performs live on the plaza as part of our City Concert Series.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Reaction from across the political sphere after former President Donald Trump was found guilty in his hush money trial. What voters are saying about how the conviction will affect their choices this fall.
And it's a delightful start this morning. Our dew point's way down here in the 40s, but I'll show you when we'll start climbing back to steamy or tropical coming up.
And a fire chief out of Cumberland County is expected in court today. What he was accused of doing in his own fire station. We have that and so much more to get you caught up on your Friday morning, last day of May. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Renee Chu, but it certainly doesn't feel like May with these cool temperatures out there, and even our highs will stay on the cool side. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Beautiful views all around.
It's gorgeous out there. A little breezy. Notice that, matter of fact, the camera's starting to shake a little bit, and you can see the flags there really whipping around. Right now, when we look at the winds, almost everybody's seeing winds out of the north at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Not recording any gusts currently, but it definitely looks breezy and cool too. I mean, it's 62 degrees and our dew point is way down at 46, which feels very comfortable. It's definitely way over on the dry to nice side. 61 in South Hill, 62 Goldsboro, and in Southern Pines. We're still at 59 in Roxborough, but temperatures are very slowly creeping up. We'll only make it into the upper 70s for highs this afternoon, and we'll see mostly sunny skies with that deep blue sky, just like we saw yesterday. We begin to see some pattern changes over the weekend. It's going to start to gradually increase our humidity and our temperature. I'll show you what it will feel like by early next week coming up.
Elizabeth, as we head out to the roads this morning, we do have a crash to tell you about there on I-440 westbound. This is right about Six Forks Road, and it certainly is causing some backups. You see our sensors there in the red, indicating you're going to want to leave a little bit extra time here if you are traveling in that direction. We get a little closer look here to another crash, Leesville Road northbound at Norwood Road. No major delays with that one. Of course, we'll continue to keep an eye on it. Other than that, besides our crash that we had earlier this morning, I-95 northbound, we are starting to settle down, but we'll keep a very close eye on it for you as we go through the next couple hours.
And Anthony, since you're already talking about I-95, that actually just cleared moments ago. Give me a second here. I'm going to see if I can pull up this video of what it looked like earlier for our viewers who just joined us here on WRAL News and Fox 50. Essentially, we learned that there was a tractor trailer and a car involved in some sort of crash. I think the video may be starting here. Just got to pull it up here on the screen. There we go. You can see this is that vehicle that we were looking at earlier, where you can see that it has just been mangled from this crash that we had seen there. Johnston County EMS dispatched fire and EMS as well as State Highway Patrol now handling this situation. But what we're working on here on WRAL News is what specifically led up to this crash and were there any injuries? Stay with WRAL News. We'll get you an update on that story.
All right, thank you, Chris. Today, we're expecting to hear more from Donald Trump after he became the first former president to be convicted of felony crimes. Trump plans to hold a news conference at 11 o'clock this morning at Trump Tower. His sentencing date is July 11th, but his legal team is likely to appeal the jury's verdict that found him guilty on all 34 counts in his hush money trial. All of this is expected to play a big role in the upcoming presidential election. Trump has already lashed out at the verdict. He shared this graphic to his Truth Social platform, saying this is not a prosecution, it's a persecution. Trump's sentencing date is 4 days before the start of the Republican National Convention, where he's expected to be named the GOP nominee for president. Trump's attorneys may try to push his sentencing date later, possibly even after the November 5th presidential election, but it's unlikely the judge would grant a delay.
Trump will still be eligible to run for president despite the conviction. Both he and President Joe Biden say the most important decision is coming on Election Day. In a post to social media, the Biden campaign said there's only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office: at the ballot box. The Trump campaign also put out a call to supporters, saying the real verdict will be on November 5th by the people. They know what happened here.
And political experts tell WRAL the conviction won't stop Trump's campaign. In fact, it may strengthen it. Meredith College professor David McLennan says the conviction presents a challenge for the Biden campaign as Trump is labeling himself a political prisoner.
If they go too hard, make this a central issue of the campaign, it almost feeds into Trump's messaging. But they can't avoid it.
And we also spoke with Judge Bob Orr, a retired North Carolina Supreme Court justice. He says it's unlikely Trump will face prison time in his case, but there are other worries coming up.
They've got to be really concerned about the other cases in federal court and in Georgia.
Trump is facing 3 more trials, including the election interference case in Georgia. No start date has been set for that trial.
Coming up in 10 minutes, a look at what our exclusive WRAL News poll reveals about how Trump's conviction may affect voter opinion. A fire department chief is due in court today on charges that he hid a camera in a vent at the fire station. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is in the Grays Creek community with what we can expect from today's court proceedings.
Chief Benjamin Marsh is accused of putting a hidden camera inside of a vent here at the Grays Creek Fire Department. We're expecting to see him in court in just a few hours. Take a look. Marsh was arrested last night. He's now facing felony charges for wiretapping. Marsh was booked at the Cumberland County Detention Center yesterday, but he was released on a $1,500 unsecured bond. His first court appearance is scheduled for this afternoon at 2:30. We'll be sure to have a crew there and keep you updated. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Cumberland County.
A man is in the hospital with serious injuries after a shooting on South Roxborough Street in Durham. Police who responded just after 4:30 yesterday found a man with life-threatening injuries. This is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. No one is in custody. Police say this is still an active investigation.
A Zebulon woman is charged with child abuse for something police say happened at a school. 62-year-old Shirley Richardson is facing 2 misdemeanor counts of child abuse. Police say the incident happened earlier this month. It involved a student at Wakeland Elementary School. Richardson was working at the school as an instructional assistant. We are checking with Wake County Public Schools on whether she is still employed there.
Killing an elderly couple is dead after the U.S. Supreme Court refused to stop his execution. Jamie Mills submitted an 11th-hour bid to pause his execution to give him time to appeal his case. He was convicted of beating an 87-year-old man and a 72-year-old woman to death with a machete, tire tool, and a hammer during a robbery in 2004. Mills made two different requests. One based a plea deal with his girlfriend made with prosecutors. Another based on his belief that Alabama has a history of botched lethal injections. The justices rejected both requests.
Hundreds of daycare centers in North Carolina could be forced to close when COVID-era funding runs out June 30th. North Carolina Democrats say the state has enough money to help. They want it woven into the state budget. Democratic lawmakers say the Republican-led legislature is ignoring the issue. They say GOP leaders want to spend millions more on private school tuition vouchers instead.
The wise course would be not to fund the vouchers, and to take that money as much as possible and pour it into child care.
Spokespeople for Republican legislative leaders did not respond to our request for comment. They previously stated the voucher program is a top priority.
This morning, the trio of historic stone homes at Dix Park will officially debut after a 16-month renovation. A ribbon cutting will be held at 10 o'clock this morning, marking 100 years since their original construction. The buildings have been transformed thanks to a $5 million grant from the State Employees Credit Union and its foundation. The Gatekeeper's Cottage will be a welcome center with a historic display. The superintendent's house will serve as the Dix Park Conservancy's offices and meeting space. And the physician's house will offer office space for City of Raleigh volunteer services and also host artists in residence.
Today, law enforcement officers from across the state will lace up their sneakers to complete the torch run for the Special Olympics. Several agencies will take part in this 5-mile run that will begin at Carter Finley Stadium at 10 this morning. They will finish at the state capitol before noon. This is the final stretch of the Flame of Hope torch that the Zebulon and Knightdale Police Departments and Wake County Sheriff's Office took part in earlier this week.
A World War II veteran from North Carolina is returning to the site of one of the war's most historic battlegrounds 80 years later. Frank Perry is one of 70 veterans chosen to take a trip to Normandy to mark D-Day's 80th anniversary. Perry joined the Army Air Corps in 1944 after graduating high school. The 98-year-old says he's excited to go back to France to reflect and pay his respects.
There'll be some celebrations, I'm sure, but for the most part, I believe it'll be a solemn event in memory of those brave people and Americans and British, Canadians, and all those who participated in that landing.
Perry says this will be his first time back to Europe since he came home from the war in 1945.
Newly released 911 calls are giving more context to a shooting in Moore County. The latest information in the death of a utility worker who was perceived as a home intruder.
And Moana 2 has not hit the box office, but it's already breaking records. How the trailer is already making Disney history coming up.
And we'll give you a live look at Fenton in Cary as we are waking up on this Friday morning. Look at that beautiful blue sky and feeling refreshing out there. Elizabeth Gardner will share how long we can expect these lovely conditions to last.
Welcome back on your Friday morning. How about this? Look, a nice look at Lake Gaston. Somebody on a boat there in the water enjoying the morning. It's a little chilly out there. You might need a sweater. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, we are feeling so comfortable this morning.
It really is. It's amazing for this time of year, that is for sure. It's not going to stick around, of course, too long. We're going to start to see the temperatures and the humidity creeping back up, but enjoy it while we have it. You're right. You might need a jacket out there right now. The wind has started to pick up. It's out of the north at about 5 to 10, but it is cool. And so the flags are really flying there at the legislative building here in downtown Raleigh. Beautiful blue sky, 62 degrees. Currently, officially, now northeast wind at 5, but I think we're looking at some winds a little stronger than that in other spots. Take a look at our Weather Watcher photo from Andrea Osborne. This sculpture here at NC State with the pink and red looked so beautiful up against that deep blue sky from yesterday with those puffy blue clouds. It's a great day to get outside and enjoy. Maybe check out some of those sculptures over at NC State. WRAL.com, search Weather Watchers and upload your photos. We would love to see what's happening in your backyard or your adventures over the weekend. Lots of stuff going on this weekend, that's for sure. 78 today in Raleigh, 76 in Durham, and 80 in Fayetteville. So for the most part, we're going to keep it under 80 degrees today. It's also going to be a cool start tomorrow morning. 49 in Durham, 51 in Lewisburg, 50 in South Hill, 45 in Siler City. These will be our low temperatures for the day tomorrow or tonight, but it really happens in the morning between, say, 6 and 7 a.m. 48 in Southern Pines, 50 in Goldsboro, 52 Fayetteville, and in Raleigh. So it'll be another cool start tomorrow. And we'll be slow to warm up as well. Again, lots of things happening. The Durham Animal Protection Society is hosting its walk for the animals, and Kat Campbell is the MC. In the morning at 9 a.m., 65 degrees. So you may want a jacket as you start that walk. And then International Festival in downtown Raleigh on Fayetteville Street starts at 11 a.m. with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Mid-afternoon, we'll see temperatures in the low 80s. Right now, we're sitting at 46 with our muggy meter. It's been such a long time since it's been that low, and it will probably be quite a long time before it's that low again. I mean, it may be October before we see another dew point at 46. We climb to steamy on Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday, we continue to climb. Tuesday and Wednesday look like we're back to tropical, which is when it feels like somebody threw a wet blanket over your head. So just enjoy this gorgeous weather. This high pressure system drifting southward is what's bringing us all that cool air from Canada. The green shaded area is where we have more moisture in the atmosphere. So very dry right now, but by Sunday, we can start to see some of that moisture creeping in. That means the humidity is going to start to bump up. It gets even higher, that humidity will, as we get into the middle of next week, that next band of moisture that comes in. Mountains tomorrow looking pretty, upper 70s to low 80s with clear skies. A chance of a thunderstorm, though, on Sunday. The beaches look dry all weekend with temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s on Saturday and then low to mid 80s on Sunday. We climb to almost 90 by Tuesday, and much of next week will feel a lot more like summer.
Elizabeth, thanks. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts says he will not meet with lawmakers about pro-Trump flags flown at Justice Samuel Alito's properties. 2 Democratic senators requested the meeting. They said they want to address what they call the Supreme Court's ethics crisis. Roberts cited concerns about separation of power when denying the invitation. His response comes one day after Alito said he would not recuse himself in cases involving Trump or the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Our exclusive WRAL News poll conducted before the hush money trial began shows many voters will vote for Donald Trump even with his conviction. 30% of Republican voters said they would be more likely to vote for Trump if convicted. 13% said less likely, and 50% said it would not affect their vote. Unaffiliated voters make up the biggest block of voters in North Carolina. 49% of them in our poll said they would be less likely to vote for Trump if he was convicted. 11% said more likely. 35% said it would not impact their vote. 65% of Democrats said they would be less likely to vote for Trump if he were convicted. If we put all the groups together, Republicans, Democrats, and unaffiliated voters, it's pretty close. 41% said they'd be less likely to vote for Trump after conviction. 38% said it would not change their vote. And 16% say they'd be more likely to vote for him.
And we spoke to former federal prosecutor Shane Stansbury about how the trial was conducted. The Duke law professor said there are reasonable arguments on both sides about whether the case should have been brought in the first place, but he believes the people involved acted professionally.
There were 12 ordinary Americans who didn't ask for the job of being in the jury. There was a judge who didn't ask for this case. And I think if you assess that part and how the folks who were involved in this case conducted themselves, I was impressed.
Stansbury says that there will be pressure on the judge to not sentence Trump to jail time. And former North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory worries that the verdict will just make political divides deeper in this country. He joined WRAL for a live interview.
I'm sad for our country because it further exposes the divisions that we have within our country. I think we're unsure at this point in time how this will impact the presidential election. I think a lot's going to happen between now and November.
McCrory went on to say that people who believe Trump is innocent have a lot of suspicions about our legal system in general.
Newly released 911 calls from a Moore County shooting are shedding more light on what happened. A woman desperately calls for deputies to come to her home as her husband was confronting a man she says was taking pictures of the house. That utility worker was 35-year-old Ramzan Daryev. The sheriff's office says he was a subcontractor for Utilities One. In the call, a woman pleads with the dispatcher to hurry up and send police to her home in Carthage. She said Daryev was taking pictures of their property and their kids and was getting aggressive.
There's an intruder on our property. My husband has gone to meet him, is now talking to him and yelled to me from the wood line to call the police. Okay. He's been very aggressive.
Deputies who responded found the subcontractor shot to death. It's unclear if any charges will be filed.
It's going to be a beautiful weekend to kick off June. And with us to share your best bet for getting out and about this weekend, Kathy Hanrahan is here. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning. Okay, so much going on.
Yeah,
so much.
This weekend families can go check out a Lego brick convention, or they can help Boxyard RTP celebrate its 3rd birthday. Tell us about this.
This is going to be so much fun. Okay, we have a lot going on. It's supposed to be a beautiful weekend. If you love Legos, you're going to want to go to Durham. Okay, the Durham Brick Convention is happening Saturday and Sunday over at the Convention Center. The event is the first Lego convention to come to the Bull City. It's going to include vendors, displays from local creators, and a visit for some of the stars of Fox's Brick Masters. Tickets are just $14.99 for either Saturday or Sunday.
Fun. There's also food festivals happening on Saturday. Where can people find that?
Yeah, we've mentioned the Greek Festival. We've also got the Raleigh International Food Festival happening in downtown in City Plaza. Saturday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., all types of different cuisine, food from more than 50 countries. Admission is free, so just bring money for food.
I love it. And a Disney classic is in Durham this weekend. I've heard from so many people about The Lion King saying how incredible it is.
It's incredible. I mean, the animals, it's just the music. You just can't get enough of it. You still have some time to catch it. It's at Durham Performing Arts Center through June 9th. So many great things. There are some tickets still available for the remaining shows.
Oh, that's awesome. At Boxyard RTP, they're celebrating an anniversary this weekend. Tell us about that.
This is a big deal. They're going to be turning 3, and they're going to be having family yoga, bubbles, balloon twisters, and a speed puzzling tournament. If you love jigsaw puzzles, you can see if you're the fastest.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So much going on this weekend, so many events happening. To see a full list, you can go to WRAL.com and search keyword out and about. Thanks, Kathy.
Yesterday, we showed you a bit of the trailer for Moana 2. It's already breaking records. 178 million people viewed the first teaser trailer for the animated sequel in its first 24 hours online. That is more than for any other trailer in Disney Animation Studios and Pixar history. Moana 2 comes out on November 27th, right before Thanksgiving.
I love it. So many people excited for that. Okay, the NC State grad who is now a 2-time winner of that cheese rolling competition in England, she is back in Raleigh, and she is celebrating. Abby Lamp posted this video on TikTok. It shows her dancing and doing cartwheels with her cheese prize under the NC State bell tower. She won the traditional race in the British town of Gloucester this week. She also won the event back in 2022. Oh my goodness.
Before we go to break, here are the winning lottery numbers, and we'll get another check of weather and traffic next.